We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Meet Palle Bo, a full-time traveler and digital nomad from Denmark on an epic journey around the world. At the age of 50, he made a bold decision. He sold everything, his house, his car, his furniture, and set out on a quest to visit every country in the world, documenting everything along the way. This is the Radio Vagabond.
Hey, welcome to a brand new season of the Radio Vagabond. In this one, we're back in North America. New England, Canada, upstate New York, Texas, Mexico, and Florida. But we start where I left you in the last season, because I need to check out of Czechia.
It's the morning of the last day of our trip here in the northern Czech Republic. And this night we've been staying at a place called Prezidentska. It's an old wooden house being reconstructed into a hotel, and it's got a restaurant. It's not a super luxury hotel, but it really has its charm, and I really enjoy staying here. It's in the middle of a forest. There's a lake close by, and the people who run it are super nice. Milena is the woman who runs it, and just before a camel walked by. Milena, what's the story with the camel?
With the camel, just appeared here. So
it appeared here. Out of nowhere came a camel.
No, he belongs to people with horses, and it's used to be always here close to Prezidentska that horses were on the fields.
Yeah.
So the camel is here as well.
Yeah.
Few years, I don't know exactly, but. Maybe 5.
Thank you so much for hosting us. It's been wonderful staying here. And now I hear the drone going up again.
Yeah.
Todd, I'm recording. Please.
You have the sound.
You're like...
Right,
every
insect.
press trip you go on, if you're filming, is that you're talking there and then... So you could do a podcast why you hate drones.
Not long after my friend Todd interrupted me with his drone taking off, it was myself that was airborne, heading across the Atlantic. This is Season 6, Episode 184 from Boston, Massachusetts. My name's Palle Bo, and this is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
Travel is possible at any age. Your sense of adventure is just over the horizon. So, reach out and grab it. This is the Radio Vagabond. Gotta keep moving.
This episode is brought to you in part by Hotels25.com. It's a website that helps you find the best prices on hotels and guest houses and hostels around the world in one simple search. Hotels25.com.
Visa, tourist visa, red line, student visa, blue line. US, red line, over there. Yeah, red line, I see it.
I think it's red line for me as well. I'm back in the USA right now for yet another road trip. I just landed here in Boston, and I'm about to go through immigrations. 3 days ago, when I was sitting in the Czech Republic with a couple of the other travelers, we were talking about U.S. immigrations, and I thought I'd just be sure check that my ESTA to get into the U.S. was still valid. I was here last year, and I thought for sure it was valid for another year or so, but it ran out a month ago, so that was a good thing I checked, because I had to get on the computer right away and order a new ESTA. When I did, I got the message that it will take up to 72 hours before it went through, and that was 3 days ago. So a good thing I checked it. Oh my God. It went through and I got the approval this morning. I haven't used it yet. I think I might use it now, or maybe it's already in their system just with my passport number. But on the plane I filled out a piece of paper giving a lot of information again. And right now I did the same thing in the machine back there. And now I'm standing in line waiting to go through the actual immigration process where somebody is looking at my passport and talking to me and giving me a stamp and so on. Almost 2 months.
Last name. Okay.
You need to see my ESTA?
Nope.
Now, that was easy. Now, all I need is the most exciting thing. Did my backpack make it? Also, because of the flight was delayed from the Czech Republic, so I had to run. It's going to be exciting to see if my backpack also made it. Ah, there it is. Ah, great.
You can follow Palebo on his Facebook page. Join the conversation about traveling and being a digital nomad. You can also see pictures, videos, and stories that don't necessarily make it into the podcast. Simply search for the Radio Vagabond.
Here in Boston, I'm staying with a friend I made 2 years ago when I was at a travel bloggers conference in the Philippines. It was a similar trip to the one I just did in the Czech Republic with a small group of 5 or 6 people, and Brianne was one of them, and she lives here in Boston and said now that I'm coming here I can crash at her place this weekend, so that's what I'm doing.
That's so funny.
Hi. Oh, I'm good.
I was like, okay, midnight. And then I was like, you're like, I'm ready for an Uber. I was like, oh, crap.
Oh, that was quick. Damn it.
I was like, jump in the cab. And then he went like a really long way, but it's fun. So this was easy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I travel light.
I know you do. I know.
Finally do.
Yeah, easy flight?
Oh, yeah. But apart from we were a little bit delayed getting out.
Yeah.
But that was
up to the right.
Yeah, but that was because of the what's it called? The truck that pulls the plane out onto the runway. It was that one that was broken. It wasn't the plane.
Oh, weird. All right, so your room is all set for you.
Oh.
My friend Brianne Myers has a nice apartment in Boston.
Do you have the whole place?
She lives alone with her adorable elderly dog, Lucy.
That's the dog.
Who took the trash?
The next morning, we took Lucy for a walk.
Some good audio right there.
Okay, Brianne, now we're in the car. Where are we going?
Okay, so we are in South Boston, which is called Southie, and we are on Day Boulevard, which runs along the bay. And we're actually going right now to a place called Castle Island, and it's a 400-year-old British fort that sits on a little peninsula, and so there's parks and bike trails and running trails and beaches, and near the fort right now is a playground. People picnic there, so it's become like a very nice kind of social and recreational destination when the weather is nice here in Boston. So it's one of my favorite places to go, and my dog's favorite place to go. So we really enjoy coming out here on the weekends.
Yeah, Lucy's in the back seat.
Yeah.
we might hear her panting.
Yeah, she's very excited.
Yeah. So, are you born and raised? Are you from Boston?
No, I'm a transplant. So I have been here though for 10 years. So I'm from New Jersey originally, and then moved to
Jersey girl.
Jersey girl, exactly. So don't mess with us. So lived in Denver and for a brief time, and then went to graduate school in Washington D.C. and then moved up to Boston for a job, and I've been here ever since. And yeah, it's a really nice, it's a great city. It's very, it's smaller, it's more compact than New York City, but it still has a lot to offer in terms of, culture and nightlife and history. Of course, it has a really, really, important, it's a really important place in the founding of the U.S. and lots of museums and outdoor activities. So it's a really, I really like living here. I think it's a nice kind of mix of everything. And again, it's not too, big or busy or overwhelming.
No, I do not know why, but I've always had that thing where I just felt that Boston would be something I would like. I didn't know much about it. Maybe it's from watching Boston Legal. I don't know.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Everybody knows your name.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. And people tell me it's the most European type city in the U.S. and
yeah, I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very. It has the big cafe culture. With I think the museums and the bridges and the academic institutions. I think it has, and it's very old. So it's one of the oldest communities in the U.S. So I think it does have. There's been a strong European influence. Yeah. And there's Lucy again.
Yeah, now we can hear Lucy
panting into the microphone.
Yeah. It's so pretty. Here we are by the coast, and there's a lot of small boats out in the water, and it's close to the airport. There's a plane just taking off over our head. Yeah, the airport is like very, very close to the city.
Yeah. And yeah, this is Lucy's favorite place, so she's in heaven right now, this dog.
Brianne Myers is a Boston-based freelance writer, photographer, and travel blogger who has been to more than 45 countries since her first trip overseas at the age of 11. The focus of her blog, A Traveling Life, is on how to balance a professional career with a life of travel. And it's her goal to take one trip each month.
My blog is called A Traveling Life, and I started a few years ago to show that it is possible to maintain a professional career while traveling significantly, particularly for Americans. We don't get a lot of vacation days, and so a lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with this, but they, typically go to the Caribbean or go to Mexico for a week. And so I just wanted to show that, with a little creativity and planning, you can, you can get to see a lot more of the world.
Yeah. And over coffee before, we were talking about the challenges I have of living the nomadic lifestyle. And you're a writer, so you could technically do it, but you've chosen to have this base in Boston.
Right. Yeah. I've kind of dabbled in being nomadic here and there. I've done, 2-month, 3-month trips overseas. But I've decided that I do like to have a home base to come back to. And I also have a dog. And so right now that's that is the factor for keeping me in one place. And she's elderly, so I don't like to pass her off too often. So right now I have a house. I always say I have a house for my dog and I have a car for my dog. If I didn't have the dog, I probably wouldn't have either of those things. But I made a commitment to her 13 years ago, so need to see that through. But we'll see what the future holds. But in terms of work, I have been more successful when I have been here in Boston, and I can attend networking events, client events. My network is just much stronger here. So for right now, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a bit about where we are.
And now, facts about where we are.
Boston is named after a town in England. Many of the city's first settlers came from Boston, England, and simply just took that name. And it's a city that was first with many things in the US. When you think of old subways in the US, you might think of New York, but in fact, America's first subway was built here in Boston in 1897. They also have the oldest public park in the US. It's called Boston Common, and was established in 1634. The first Dunkin' Donuts was located in Quincy, Massachusetts, about 11 miles from Boston. The very first chocolate factory in the US was also in Boston. The year was 1765, when a guy named Walker Baker opened his chocolate factory right here. The first American lighthouse was built in Boston, the Little Brewster Lighthouse, in 1716. The first Thanksgiving in the country was celebrated in Boston. And Boston is home to the first college in North America. I'm talking about Howard, that was founded in 1636.
And that was Facts About Where We Are.
After a walk with Lucy, we got back in the car.
Brianne, now we're driving through. Yeah, this is still the south side, or
Southeast, South Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there something unique about the architecture here?
Well, typically in this neighborhood and neighborhood in Dorchester, as well as some other more industrial cities along the east coast of Massachusetts, like Lowell, Lawrence, Lynn, even out west a little bit, Worcester and Springfield, you'll see these houses called what they call triple deckers. And so they were built to house workers for factories. And so they, like the name says, they're 3 stories high, and they typically have porches on the front.
Wooden houses.
Wooden houses, exactly. So there's still quite a few of them left, and so you can you can see as you drive through the neighborhoods, they're pretty distinctive looking. And there's now, of course, a lot of them are condos or rentals and have been renovated over the years, but you can still see the characteristics of the old buildings.
And down here in the southeast part, it's we don't see many high-rise. There's no skyscrapers here.
No, not really any in these neighborhoods. Where they try and keep everything a little on the lower side to kind of maintain the character. Even some of the newer developments. This place on the left here, this Murphy's Law, this Anthony Bourdain actually visited here when he was in Southie.
Oh.
So it's an old pub. So that's kind of a neighborhood institution kind of place. So
yeah, and we just passed a Starbucks, and you said that there were protests.
Yeah, everybody has a lot of pride in the neighborhood. It's an old, very traditional neighborhood, old Irish neighborhood, and they really support local businesses. They want to give the business to the mom and pop shops, and they really don't like the chains because chains sometimes can change the character of the neighborhood, change the feel of the neighborhood. So people were not happy when Starbucks came. So we have 2 Starbucks now, but they're still the mom and pop places too. Even though we have a lot of new development and a lot of new restaurants opening, for the most part they're either small chains or independent restaurants.
Where are you taking me now?
So now we're going into the seaport, and so the seaport is absolutely booming. So this, as the name suggests, it's right on the bay and on Boston Harbor. And typically, this is where you're going to see all the new construction, all the high-rises. Even when I moved here 10 years ago, there was hardly anything down here. It just used to be docks for fishing boats and things like that. And now it's the most rapidly growing area in Boston, and tons of real estate being developed, office buildings, commercial properties, restaurants, everything that you can think of is being kind of piled in down here. So, there's really strong feelings both ways about whether it's good or not. Obviously, the development creates jobs, and, it brings offices and other properties into the city to generate some revenue. But then at the same time, it's the character, is pretty much gone. The buildings are most of the apartments and the real estate are extremely expensive. A lot of these high rises, they have studio apartments going for $3,000 a month, and so that's obviously not affordable for most people. So it attracts obviously younger, people who work in the tech fields and have some good jobs. It's the convention center back there that has been there for a while. But yeah, this as we're driving through now, we're seeing there's there's tons of new construction, tons of construction vehicles and high rises going up, and it's interesting. I have mixed feelings about it as well. I think this winter we were one of the problems, obviously, with climate change is rising sea levels, and for the first time, this area had flooded during some terrible storms we had over the winter. So water did come up over the seawall here, and so that's as all these buildings are going in, even packing in even more people into the area. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all kind of shakes out over the next few years. Obviously, that with storms getting more severe and more intense, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. And speaking about the weather, just as we stopped, we got to the car after our long walk. It started raining, and now it's raining quite hard. So we were so lucky that just made it to the car.
Yeah, we made it just in the nick of time, but we got a refreshing little shower in the meantime.
That was nice. Yeah.
A few famous people come from Boston. Actor Ben Affleck, late-night host Conan O'Brien, actor, film producer, stand-up comedian and podcaster Bill Burr, and this guy.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Perhaps the most famous Bostonian ever, the 35th President of the United States of America, John F. Kennedy. So, they have a museum for him.
I'm walking with the ocean on my right-hand side right now, under the flight path to Boston International Airport, and I'm on my way to the John F. Kennedy Library. I think it's more like a museum of about JFK, who is from Boston. Almost all the American presidents in the past have their own library, and for some reason I can't really see a Donald J. Trump library anywhere. It just sounds wrong.
The John F. Kennedy Presidential Library and Museum was opened in 1979 and is dedicated to the memory of the 35th President of the U.S.
The 20-minute documentary film that you are about to watch was written, produced, and directed exclusively for the museum.
It's a big building, 164 square feet, more than 15,000 square meters, beautifully located in a 10-acre park overlooking the sea. The library stands as a tribute to the life and times of John F. Kennedy.
During the film, you will hear President John F. Kennedy's own voice telling the story of his early life and political career.
After buying a $14 ticket, I did a tour and learned a lot about the life, leadership, and legacy of President Kennedy.
Too often we hold fast to the cliches of our forebears.
Very interesting and highly recommended.
The ultimate destination for armchair travelers who are looking for inspiration to get out into the real world and let loose their wanderlust. This is the Radio Vagabond. Gotta keep moving.
Life is short, and there is so much to explore. I won't let a second go to waste. Yeah, time goes fast. I better step it up now. Chances, cut some ropes. Ooh, ain't gonna wait much longer. There will be no sleep tonight. I'll chase my dreams while I'm still young and single. Nothing's gonna stop me, no. I have to run, 'cause life is now.
So now we're driving through some of the construction here, just to kind of point out some landmarks. This is the Blue Hills Pavilion, where they have concerts. So it's a fun concert venue in the summer. You can sit on the, you have a nice view of the water. Yankee Lobster, great place for fresh seafood right off the right off the boat, pretty much. And then behind here is Harpoon Brewery, so it's one of our famous regional breweries. Obviously, there's Sam Adams is the most popular Boston brewery, but Harpoon's pretty famous too. So they have a fun German beer hall here, and you can get some big pretzels and take a tour of the operations, and they have lots of beers on tap, so it's a fun place to visit.
Yeah.
Let's turn around here.
I can see you could get fresh seafood here, so close to the ocean. When I was in the Czech Republic, we were a group that were talking about going to a sushi place, and one of them pointed out, well, we're pretty far from the coast. How can the fish be fresh?
Yeah.
But yeah. But I didn't get sick.
You're brave. Yeah, this is pretty popular. And another restaurant here, Legal Seafoods. This one is called Legal Harborside. Legal Seafoods is a popular chain of seafood restaurants started here in Boston. Actually, I believe the first location was in Cambridge, family-owned and operated chain of restaurants. This is the waterfront property here, but they have various locations in the U.S. But all of this has been developed in the past 10 years, all of these restaurants and apartment buildings and hotels. This is all new. So, it's one of those things, every time you come down here, something different, you see something different. And I've even, in recent times, gotten turned around and almost lost in a place that I know very well, just because you're so out of sorts from all of the new development. They have lots of events here in the World Trade Center. It's an event space, conferences.
This episode is brought to you in part by Hotels25.com. Whenever you need a hotel anywhere in the world, go to Hotels25.com. Hotels25.com searches a bunch of the biggest hotel sites in one simple search. Hotels25.com.
Next week on the Radio Vagabond.
One of the things that brought Boston in the news in recent time was, of course, the tragic Boston Marathon bombings. Next week, I'll speak to Brianne about her experiences that day and the following week.
So my dad was visiting, and wherever we go, he likes to be up front. He likes to be in the middle of the action, and so I was joking with him. I said, "Oh, you're going to push us up all the way to the finish line, or we're just going to be standing in all these crowds." And so I was being really negative about going.
And then I'll take you to a place where everybody knows your name.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hey, Norman. How you doing, Norm? You gotta give me a tall one in case I like it.
That's next week, right here on the Radio Vagabond. My name is Palabo. See ya.
Produced by RadioGuru.co.uk.